are the ones who will wind up face down in the mud.
That is Ben Caplan in the Hamilton premiere of Old Stock, a Refugee Love Story. It's just started at Theatre Aquarius, and Ben joins us now in studio. And it's quite a homecoming for you, because in that building, in Theatre Aquarius, is where you got your start.
That's right, yeah. My first exposure to theater and all of my early theater training all happened right there in that building at the Theatre Aquarius Summer School for the Performing Arts.
So what was it like coming back in?
It felt monumentous, you know. I feel like I've been in buildings like Theatre Aquarius now, you know, dozens of times in dozens of cities, and it's to the credit of Theatre Aquarius that I can walk into those spaces and feel comfortable and familiar and feel like I have my wits about me. But then you walk into the original building, the alma mater, and it was this feeling of awe and like returning to this stage and less comfortable, sort of nervous to be walking back in. It was really lovely.
And you've done this show, Old Stock. You've done it in many other cities around the world.
Yeah.
But it's set in 1908, but so very timely, sadly, very timely today.
Truly,
because it's a refugee love story.
Yeah, you know, we started working on the show in 2015 in response to the Syrian refugee crisis. And so even though we're telling the story about 1908, from the conception of the show, it was this idea that we wanted to engage in this contemporary moment and to reflect on the circumstances of refugees in the world today, but to do so through the lens of the stories of my own ancestors and those of my collaborators, Hannah Moscovich. And so, yeah, I mean, even though it's a show that's ostensibly set in 1908, it's also very much set today. And I walk out and do a little bit of direct address with the audience to try to locate the impetus of the story in today. And the reason that we're telling the story is about today.
Right, and you think today with the Ukrainian refugees too, right? And so many of these, like the gist of this story is that these people were trying to come to Canada and were not wanted.
Certainly, yeah, and so it's about this struggle of them trying to figure out, you know, how to make a new life in the aftermath of trauma, and really it's about humanizing the individual experiences of these two people. You know, it's so easy when we talk about waves of migration, when we talk about statistics, when we talk about numbers, to lose the actual human beings that are at the heart of every single one of these kinds of stories. And so this is just a play that zooms in tight on the very specific story of two people as a lens to think about the universal experience.
And sometimes that hits you so much harder in the gut, doesn't it?
Well, sure. I mean, we can talk about thousands of people or millions of people, or the 78 million people who I think are displaced internationally right now. It might even be a larger number at this point, but we can't fathom what that actually means. And so to just zoom in on two human lives and their attempts to reach out to each other and to reach out and to try to find what it means to be Canadian, I think it's a story that has a lot of relevance. And I think it's important for us to remember that at the heart of every one of these stories and at the heart of every statistic that we can look at, it's really about human beings.
Right. Deals with a lot of anti-Semitism as well.
Truly, yeah. I think it's a play it's about a Jewish story. It's about these Jewish characters, and it's a very proudly Jewish play. You know, it sort of gets into some of the fun bits and some of the raunchy bits and all of this different kind of stuff. But really, at the end, it's about inviting the audience into the specificity as a way of you know, reviewing the universal.
And the music is fabulous in this.
Thank you. That's my primary contribution. My main bread and butter when I'm not touring with my theater show is I have a career as a singer-songwriter and as a musician. So I wrote the music and I co-wrote the songs with the director Christian Barry. And so yeah, it's been a blast getting to put together this thing and work with such a great crew.
And how important is it to play to a Hamilton audience, where your family is here?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, I left Hamilton when I was 19 years old. I went off to university, and I haven't really lived in Hamilton since then. And so it's really, really lovely to be back in the city and to see the ways in which it's changed over the years, and to not just be here as a tourist, but to actually like sit down for a minute and get to know the city again. It's been really nice.
Okay, looking forward to seeing this. And the play Old Stock, a Refugee Love Story, playing at Theatre Aquarius until when? I
believe it's till August 12th, maybe August 13th.
We have it on a board.
It's got to be on a board. Then just pay me to sing.
We should know this, right? Ben, a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Really great to be here. Thanks for having me.